Today we're going to take a look at the American Kennel Club's Canine Good Citizen Test. The test was developed originally in about 1989, and it was a way for owners to learn responsible ownership of their dogs. When people take the test, they sign a pledge to say that they're going to take care of their dog's health, their safety, and their training needs, and that they're going to work diligently on keeping their dogs well behaved in public. All dogs, including both purebred and mixed breed dogs, are welcome to participate. Dogs must be fully vaccinated, and there's no age limit to the CGC test. All tests must be performed on leash. Buckle collars or slip collars of leather, fabric, or chain are allowed. Body harnesses are allowed as long as they don't restrict movement. Any dog that growls, snaps, bites, or attempts to attack another person or dog is not a good citizen and must be dismissed from the test. Owners and handlers may use praise and encouragement through the test, but you may not use food or a toy during the actual test. Today we're going to be testing Harley, Jasper, Duke, and assisting us are Shadow and Dakota, Mika, and Violet. Test 1. Accepting a friendly stranger. This test demonstrates that the dog will allow a friendly stranger to approach it and speak to the handler in a natural, everyday situation. The evaluator will walk up and greet the handler in a friendly manner, largely ignoring the dog. Okay. Hi, how are you, Gary?
Real good. How you doing, Leighton?
That's good. What a beautiful dog you've got there.
Great guy.
That's good.
When training for this test, practice walking your dog,
All right, well,
using
take
your
care.
obedience training to manage the behavior. Stop and sit your dog while offering them a treat, but remember you cannot use treat reward during the actual test. Remember that exercises are always best when they're fun and motivational to your dog. Test 2 is sitting politely for petting. This test demonstrates that the dog will allow a friendly stranger to reach out and touch it while it's with its handler. Always start off with the dog sitting at the handler's side. The evaluator will approach and pet the dog on the head and the body. Right here we're still in training mode. We're teaching Jasper, and in this case Harley, how to accept somebody coming up, maybe even touching their paws, even though touching paws is not part of this test too. We want to basically show them they have nothing to be worried about and get them acclimated to this so that they learn how to behave. Using treats is also a good way to distract your dog from being nervous and at the same time conditioning positive behavior. Remember, you cannot use treats in the test, but you can use it while you're training.
Hi.
How you doing, Leighton?
May I pet your dog?
You got.
Hi, big guy. What
That's
you
where
doing?
Stay
Yeah,
down.
it's good
Stay
dogs.
down. Good boy. You want to play?
Very
Stay
good.
down.
All right. What a sweet dog. All right, take care.
When practicing for this exercise, have a friend give them a reward such as a treat. Use a sit, stay, or a watch me command to establish confidence while still managing the situation. It's all about teaching a dog to relax and at the same time pay attention. Test 3 of the CGC is about appearance and grooming. This test demonstrates that the dog will welcome being groomed and examined and will permit somebody such as a veterinarian, groomer, or a friend of the owner to do so. It also demonstrates the owner's care and concern and sense of responsibility. In this case, I'm showing Jasper the brush before actually using it on him. This gives him a chance to kind of settle down and understand this is not something that's going to bother him. Remember to desensitize your dog in baby steps. Don't try and do everything at once. Start off with one paw and then reward them or give them a treat. Using distraction, using treat as a way of distracting their attention is also a really good way to go. With Harley, we're addressing his jumping up issues in training. This is something that is not allowed in the test. So while I'm gently holding him by the collar, I'm examining his ears, I'm taking a look at his feet, making sure that he's desensitized and kind of just getting him to relax while at the same time brushing him. While a fake hand cannot be used in a CGC test, this is a great way to test a dog if you are concerned about your safety or if you think you may have a reactive dog. You can lightly touch the dog's chest, touch their head, and basically check to see how sensitive they are towards being touched. You can see trainer Jessie is distracting Violet with treats while trainer Sarah is using the hand to test her reaction. And remember that this is just one tool out of many to approach the situation. So here we have Duke's actual CGC test. I approach him, show him the brush, reach for his head, I give a little bit of a touch on his ears, make sure that his ears are nice and clean, touch him on his chest, I tap his paw, reach up on his paw, and then you'll see he got a little stressed out when I touch his other paw, so I just left it at that. I put my left hand on his collar, and this is just a safety issue. If he doesn't like something, it means I have a grip on his collar and I can take action should something else transpire, but he was great. Test 4 is out for a walk. This test demonstrates that the handler is in control of his dog. The dog can walk on either side of the handler. The dog does not have to be perfectly aligned with the handler, it does not need to sit when the handler stops. Here we're working on our training. You can see that the dog's somewhat distracted by the grass, and that would be a problem during the test, but obviously here we're still preparing for the test and showing the handler and his dog how to actually walk and which direction to take. We will also devote the same kind of training to our group classes where we prepare people for their sit stays, for their down stays, and for their heel work exercises when they decide to come and do the CGC.
All right, Tanner, walk forward towards me and walk up to the cone
This is Duke's actual test.
and stop and sit your dog.
You'll see I prefer to give the commands to the handlers as they're walking, as it gives us more options.
Good. Okay, handler and dog forwards.
I've also found that using a set course means that people need to remember the course, and it's already a stressful exercise for them doing the CGC, so I find it best just to give them instructions and also motivate them while I'm walking.
90 degrees. There you go. This way. Good. Do a left turn towards the kennels. Good. And sit your dog. Good.
Test 5, walking through a crowd, can present somewhat of a challenge for some dogs. The test demonstrates that the dog is able to move around politely in pedestrian traffic and is under control in public places. Here we are training Violet to walk using 3 trainers standing around but not moving and basically holding position. The trainer is offering Violet treats to distract her from being under stress. Then we bring the trainers in closer and we bring her back into the same group. And then the final step would be allowing the trainers to move around while walking the dog through the group at the same time. Remember to keep the dog happy and excited, and the best distraction is, of course, a lot of motivation, food reward and or toy reward, and in this case we're letting the dog be petted at the same time. And here is Harley doing his tests. The dog may show some interest in the strangers, but should continue to walk without evidence of overexuberance, shyness or resentment. The handler may talk to the dog during the exercise. You're allowed to encourage your dog, in fact we want you to do so, but the dog should not be jumping on people in the crowd or straining on its leash. Test 6 is the sit and down positions and the stay in place. This test demonstrates that the dog has training and will respond to the handler's commands to sit and down and will remain in place as commanded by the handler. The dog must do a sit and a down on command, and the handler can then choose the position from which they leave the dog to do the stay. While most dogs do fine at this test, some dogs really struggle, especially those dogs that have got insecurity issues or that are a little nervous around people or in public. Use food reward based training to build a solid sit and a down position, as it really creates a good foundation. I'm a big fan for using a bed, table or a mat to teach my dog a stay, because it builds a real solid foundation that you can keep rewarding. Come back to her, give her another treat, tell her what a good girl.
What a good girl, Mom.
Walk away, come back to her, do it again.
Good girl.
Now walk away. This is a great way to build positive while at the same time teaching a stay without having to use a lot of force on the dog. Here we see Mika again. Mika is a very, very fragile, very soft dog, scared of its own shadow, and you can see that Sarah is using food to reward her for holding position, even though she's got this big mean camera about 4 or 5 feet away from her. Remember, this takes baby steps. Rome was not built in a day. It takes a while to build up the positive association that your dog has and to build their confidence. So this is Harley's actual test. We use a 20-foot line, or in this case a slightly longer line, and we place it on the dog, leaving the dog in position while the handler walks away. You can also take the dog's leash with you and leave the long line on the dog. After a few seconds, the handler will return back to the dog, reward his dog, and is released from the exercise. And here is Jasper's test. The handler places the long line on the dog, stands up, and places the dog in the down or the sit position before leaving the dog. Remember that the handler can take a certain amount of time to place the dog in position. After the dog is in position, the handler leaves the dog, goes out to 20 feet, turns around, comes back again. During this time, the dog may not change the location that they are in, but they can change position from a sit to a down and so forth. Test 7, come when called, demonstrates that the dog will come when called by the handler. The handler will attach a long line to the dog, walk away approximately 10 feet and call the dog. I always use a long line when performing off-leash type tests. In a situation like this, I can easily recover the dog, bring him back. We're still training, the test hasn't actually started yet, so there's no harm done. I can put the dog back in the sit or the down position and start the test again. I actually use a 30-foot long line so that I have additional line available should myself or one of my assistants need to recover a dog. During training, I will also allow the handlers to use the leash to prompt the dog to come into them, but obviously during the test they're not permitted to do this. Another training technique that works well on teaching a dog to recall is the run away. I'll place the dog in a sit or a down position, have the handler walk away, call it, take off and run away. Call the dog. And you'll see that shy dogs, while they're a little hesitant at first, as you can see with Mika here, they will actually start running, and then that'll encourage them. It's a motivational thing. When the dog gets to her, she'll reward and praise the dog. So this is Jasper's actual test.
Walk away from him.
The handler will place the dog in the sit or the down, walk away to 10 feet, turn
Turn around.
recall their dog,
Call him to you.
Jasper, come on.
and as soon as he gets to them, the test is complete. The dog is not required to sit or down. This is Harley doing his test. Again, the handler will leave his dog, this time in a sit, turn around, walk to the cone, recall his dog. He's not required to use a come command, just a simple clap works fine. And finally, here is Duke doing his test. You can see his training has worked well. He's holding his position, and he comes nicely to the handler when he's called. The 8th test, reaction to another dog, demonstrates that the dogs can behave politely around other dogs. Two handlers and their dogs approach each other from a distance of about 20 feet, stop and shake hands and exchange pleasantries. We encourage our clients to let sit their dogs, but it's not a requirement. The dogs should show no more than a casual interest in each other, and neither dog should go to the other handler. This is Shadow being introduced to Dakota. It's actually a foster home introduction that's being done here, but it demonstrates what we do when we're trying to introduce dogs that might be reactive to another dog. While these guys are doing great, reactive dogs are not permitted in CGC, and my suggestion is you refer them to a professional trainer for help. And finally, we get to the CGC test, reaction to another dog. This is Maddie walking up and saying hi to Harley. Everybody shakes hands, exchanges a few pleasantries, and off they go with their day. Great test. Test 9 is the second of the two reaction tests. In this case, reaction to distraction. The purpose is to demonstrate that the dog is confident at all times when faced with common distracting situations. You can choose two of the distractions. We prefer using a bicycle and a runner, but you can also choose from dropping a chair, rolling a dolly past the dog, or dropping some kind of a crutch or crane in front of the dog. It's perfectly okay for your dog to express natural interest or curiosity in the distraction, but they should not panic, try and run away, show aggressiveness, or bark at the distraction. When preparing for this exercise, start off by training around simple distractions. Work on reward-based obedience, paying your dog every time they show good behavior. Do not flood your dog by overproofing them. Build trust gradually and gradually increase the level of distraction, and you should be good. The final test, test 10, is supervised separation. If you've done all your homework correctly, if you've trained your obedience and your sits and your stays, this should not present a problem. During your obedience classes, you should be working on separating yourself from your dog, starting off close by and generally and gradually increasing the distance you are from your dog. The CGC Supervised Separation Test demonstrates that a dog can be left with a trusted person and will maintain their training and good manners. So an evaluator can walk up and ask, "Would you like me to watch your dog?" Take hold of the dog's leash, and then send the owner out of sight for approximately 3 minutes. In the interest of time, we do this as a group. We will have one assistant that will hold each one of the dogs, and we will send the people out of sight. Remember that evaluators and handlers can talk to the dog, but should not engage in excessive petting, chatting, or management attempts. The goal is to simply encourage the dog to chill while the handler's out of sight, and for most dogs, this is a no-brainer. Generally, I find that if a dog makes it to this point in the test, they're going to pass, and you should be good to go. After 3 minutes, you can give the handlers a cue and they will return to their dogs. The dogs are not required to hold the sit or the down position, such as in obedience training or in AKC trials, but they should not be restraining or pulling at the leash or showing exuberance as the handlers return back to the trainers.
While most dogs are able to pass the test without a lot of training, we do offer training classes where you can bring a dog and learn actually how to get through a CGC. The best thing to remember is have fun out there and make sure you keep your dog in training.